Hi, I'm Alan Davidson. I'm the founder of ThroughYourBody.com and the author of Body Brilliance, Mastering Your 5 Vital Intelligences. And I've been thinking a lot about what is my magnificent moment, or what one of my magnificent moments. And the thing that I keep coming back to is something that really happened 22, 23 years ago, actually. I moved to Houston in 1980 to become bartender to the fabulous. And we were fabulous. So much so that I like to say we had more fun in a 3-day holiday weekend than the entire state of Oklahoma has in a year. Not difficult to do. But that kind of fun comes with a price. And for my group of friends that hung around together and went to movies and architectural openings and all the events, that price was HIV/AIDS. When I first learned that AIDS was caused by a virus, I just assumed that I would die an awful, gruesome death, just like so many of my friends, because I had shared needles with men who had already died from AIDS. I was an IV drug user at the time. In about 1987, I got clean and sober, and I had to decide, am I making short-term plans for my life, or am I making long-term plans for my life? And I happened to live with a doctor who kept saying, Alan, I think you're negative. You're just too healthy. Alan, I think you're negative. You're just too healthy. So I made an appointment to go and get an HIV test. And hoping against all odds, I found myself sitting in a room, the walls saturated with fear of all the people who had sat in that room, waiting for the news that they might be sick, that they might die, hoping against all odds to hear good news. The counselor very quickly took me back to the room and told me I was HIV negative. And it was one of those Hollywood special effects moments for me. I felt my body begin to tingle. I heard a roar begin to come into my ears. And the counselor just seemed to come very, very far away, sort of like through a telescope. And I was just in the presence of this extraordinary moment. And I knew that I had been spared from the executioner, that Providence or Spirit or Grace or whoever had placed her hand on my shoulder, that I would be so healthy when so many extraordinary people were dying. I knew I'd been spared, and I didn't know what for. But I left the clinic that day vowing to no longer squander the talents and the gifts that I had been given, and that I would learn to tap into those talents and gifts and to use them for something. And that was really my magnificent moment, to be spared that way and to make a commitment to declare to myself and to Spirit that I would do something with my life to make a difference for myself and certainly the community that I lived in. And it was just 6 months later that I found myself in massage school. And after all those years of partying hard and flying high and crashing low, that my body began to heal. And the fear that had clutched my life began to let go. And my mind began to settle into my body. And my spirit began to soar. And so through that choice to go to massage school, and through that declaration of using my own gifts, I was able to eventually live into an extraordinary life. And here I am, 24 years later, best-selling author, been sober most of that time, and I have just lived an extraordinary, wonderful, exciting, beautiful life, surrounded by people who love me, and I couldn't be more grateful. So that's my magnificent moment. Thank you very much.